Hey everybody, welcome to Alive in Alaska. This is a podcast where we discuss two things. Alaska, we're two Christian brothers who live in Alaska and we love our state. So we talk everything about Alaska and we also talk everything about Jesus. We love Jesus and we love Alaska. If you're interested in hearing about Alaska, things about the state, things about living here, also about Jesus, the church, the Bible, that sort of thing, please stick around for Alive in Alaska.
Soft as gold, she tells me, shimmering on the moon. At the break of dawn, kisses bloomed easily to song. And I'd fight the earth for the whisper of these words. To have her to hold, so needed to grow.
Hey everybody, welcome to Alive in Alaska, episode number 1. Believe it or not, can't believe it. We've already started this thing. We've been talking about it for a long time, and here it is. My name is Ryan, originally from upstate New York, and I am married to my wonderful, beautiful, far better looking than I wife, Jackie. We've been married for about 7 years, and we have 2 kids, Lincoln, who is a year and a half, and my daughter, who is actually, tomorrow, she will be 7 days old.
7 days.
A week old, so she is very new to the world. Moved from New York to go to college in farther upper state New York in the Adirondacks, Word of Life Bible Institute, went there for a year, and then we moved down to North Carolina, and that's where I met this guy, Rodney May.
Hey everybody, this is Rodney, and I want to introduce myself real quick to you. I grew up in Michigan and moved down to North Carolina, was there for 6 years, and now I live in Alaska. I've been married for almost 15 years. It'll be 15 years this coming May. I have 2 kids. One is a little punk junior higher. His name is River, and I have a little girl, a little sweetheart. She's I think her last year of elementary school, or she has one more year. She's in 5th grade. She's 5th grade. I can't remember my kids. So anyway, they're River and Lake. If you forget my name, you won't forget theirs. They're really cool little kids. I have a associate's degree in. I have to look at my wall. I have an associate's degree. I do. I have an associate's degree in biblical studies. That's from New Tribes Bible Institute. I was there for 2 years in Michigan, and then we moved down to North Carolina. I have a bachelor's degree in Bible with a minor in counseling from Piedmont International University. Used to be Piedmont Baptist College, right?
Yeah, it used to be Piedmont Baptist College and Piedmont Baptist College and Piedmont Bible College. And then Piedmont Bible Institute.
Right. Yeah, and now it's Piedmont International University, and so I have my my bachelor's degree in Bible. That's actually where I met Ryan. Me and Ryan have known each other for 7 years. And not this last December, but a year ago December, I finished up my master's degree in pastoral counseling from Liberty University, which was the hardest thing I've ever done, including building a house, having kids, being married for 15 years.
And moving
5,000
miles away from family.
That's right, crazy. So right now, I am in Alaska. We're in Fairbanks, which is in the central part of Alaska. I'm the senior pastor at Shannon Park Baptist Church, and loving life. I've been here for about 2 years. We're working on building a house, and just really cool to see what God is doing here in Alaska with our families here. So it's a lot of fun. I'm very thankful that Ryan and Jackie and their family moved up here. We knew them from North Carolina, and now we are living life together in Alaska, and it's a lot of fun.
It really is a lot of fun. And I work at a nonprofit organization here in Fairbanks for a year and a half, almost 2 years. I worked at a church in Virginia. I was a youth pastor there, and then I left there to move up here. And then before that, I volunteered and I worked on other church staffs at other churches in North Carolina, in their youth ministry or children's program. And so my heartbeat, kind of where I'm from, is very much towards adolescents and kids. So what Jackie and I do now is we work for a nonprofit that mentors and disciples and influences adolescent, really teenagers.
Displaced
teenagers. So we love it. We really do. It's the hardest thing we've ever done, but it really is extremely rewarding work. My degrees are in Did I mention my degrees?
I don't know.
I
Mention
don't
them
think
again.
so. Yeah, but my degrees are in children's ministry with a minor in, I'm sorry, Christian ministries with a minor in children's ministries and missions. So our heart has really been towards getting the gospel to places where it's not profound or it's not exemplified or anything like that. So here we are in Fairbanks, the interior.
Right on. And so that's we told you in the intro to the podcast that we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about Alaska. It just seems like an interesting topic, doesn't it, Ryan? I mean, there's
does.
TV shows. There's
It does.
Alaska State Troopers and the what are those? There's like mining gold.
Gold Rush.
Gold Rush.
Yeah, some are good, some are garbage.
Right, right. What's that one with the guy with the big mustache that goes way down? It's like a.
Oh,
What am I talking
yeah,
about?
They're on the Kenai Peninsula,
Yeah, they're like. What? I forget.
Alaska. The last front. Is it the last frontier?
I have no idea, actually.
It's-
I don't
it's
watch a lot of
terrible.
TV. Is it bad?
It's so bad.
Oh, yeah.
It is. My kids like it. These
Right.
are native Alaskan kids,
And they like it?
and they love it.
But do they say
think
it's like
awesome.
inaccurate?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
right. They
think
just
it's-
enjoy
think it's
the-
baloney, but they like the
Right.
drama of it.
Ah, I gotcha. I
yeah,
gotcha.
which I mean, it's interesting.
Sure.
It's kind of fun.
And that's the thing about Alaska. We live in Alaska, and it's just something that people are interested in. And so we want to talk about that. We want to talk about Alaska, some of the cool things about Alaska. We've lived in Alaska for a while now, and I've been here for 2 years. Ryan's been here for 6 months, and so we're kind of new to Alaska. But we know people that have been born and bred here,
Yeah.
and they don't think it's weird.
No.
It's just life to them.
And this is why I think this is really cool for us to talk about and for you guys to hear is that we're not born and raised in Alaska, so a lot of this stuff it's new to us. I mean, we're seeing it with infant eyes.
Yeah, it's
we're
fun.
seeing it with baby eyes.
Right.
So when we see negative 60
Right.
degrees Fahrenheit outside, it's not another day in the park for us.
Right.
This is something a little weird.
Right. If you see a moose alongside the road, just lumbering along. I saw a moose cross College Road, which College Road is a main road in Fairbanks with traffic lights and everything, and just a big old moose just walking across the
Crazy.
the road, But to people
Crazy.
that have lived here forever, it's like, okay, I got to stop and wait for this moose. To where I'm like, get my camera! I need my camera!
Take another video of it.
That's
you
right.
know? It really is amazing. You open the door to let your dog out. I mean, life changes completely in the interior. Life changes completely in Alaska. It's not impossible to live here. Obviously people, thousands of people live here. I think the population is now up to what, Rodney? Like 700,000 or something like that.
It's pushing 1 million with, if not just over 1 million with Anchorage. Most of the population's in Anchorage. Here in the interior, where we are in Fairbanks, the city proper is like 32,000 within the city limits, and then the borough, which is the county, which is the size of a state. I'd have to look at how actually big it is. It's
Wow.
massive, about 100,000 people. That might sound like a lot, but we're spread out. There's people that come to church here at Shannon Park that will drive 30 miles through the hills and through the
Wow.
snow and that sort of thing.
And bringing it in perspective too, there's 300 million people that live in the U.S. We're less than 1 million who live in an entire state.
And it's the biggest state by far.
Yeah.
It's just a massive territory. So that's what we want to talk about on this podcast. We want to talk about Alaska, give you some cool things about Alaska, that sort of thing. And in episodes to come, we'll talk about specific things about Alaska.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the weather, we'll talk about life, we'll talk about the moose, the northern lights, us all living in igloos, stuff like that. So we're going to talk about that sort of thing. And we also want to talk about Jesus. We want to talk about the Bible. We want to be an encouragement to people when it comes to just a Christian walk. Maybe you are a Christian, you're listening to this, and maybe we can be an encouragement to you. Or you have not made that decision, and maybe you're just curious about Alaska, that sort of thing. So please stick around for either of those things. We're not going to try to push anything on you, really. We're just going to talk about our lives. We're going to talk about what's going on here in Alaska and really what God has done in our lives. And I just encourage you to stick around and listen to that. So, Ryan, with that, I want to ask you,
Yeah.
you mentioned that we moved from North Carolina, Virginia, down the lower 40, the south, really. And we both moved, I think it's 4,100 miles, I think, 4,200.
My U-Haul said 48.7.
Wow. Now, you went a long way, though, to get some sightseeing in,
Absolutely,
which is
yeah.
fun. You might, if you're going to drive that, you might as well. And it
Oh,
is
yeah.
possible to drive from North Carolina or from Virginia to Alaska,
Exactly.
so you
don't
can
have
drive.
To take a boat.
Nope.
You don't have to fly all the
Yep.
time. In the wintertime,
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful with that, but you can do it. So I want to ask you, why in the world would you move from sunny Virginia to the Arctic, to Alaska?
I don't make good decisions all the time. No, so my wife and I, like I said, we were actually we were making pretty good money in Virginia. I was a youth pastor there, and we loved it. Things were going great. We had a we had a nice big house, and Jackie had a job that she loved, and I was doing what I loved, and but we felt this I guess this temptation towards like complacency, just settling into to just basic standard life. And
You were getting comfortable.
exactly. We
How
were getting
dare you.
comfortable. Yeah, we were getting very comfortable. And God started he started putting a few things into our life. He started injecting some disruption, I guess you could say, into our life. And so we started looking at some options. We could move back upstate or back up to New York and be with family, or we can move out to we were actually looking at the Midwest. We could move out to the Midwest where it would still be kind of close to home. So we did what any logical person would do, and we chose the farthest, most unrealistic, most uncomfortable option
Right
that
on.
we could possibly do. And Alaska came up on the radar, and we loved Alaska. We visited in April.
In April, you visited
last
us.
year, right? And we just went up there to enjoy it, and we were open to the idea, but we wanted that trip to answer one question for us: would it be possible for our families to live here, our family to live here? And it resoundingly it answered that question with a resounding yes. Absolutely, it's totally possible. The state is beautiful. Granted, we visited in the most beautiful month of the year, but it was very clear to us that yes, this is very possible. We can do this. The next question we need to ask was why? Why should we be moving to Alaska? And so I started looking for opportunities where I could work with teenagers, and we found obviously where I'm at now with the organization, the agency that I'm at now, and it's been great. I mean, we love it. We are actively involved in the life change of hurting people, and that is what makes us come alive. And so the reason we moved to Alaska is because we could be actively involved in something that makes us come alive. And so not just that it's a beautiful state. I mean, you can get mountains anywhere, right? I mean, you can get mountains in Colorado. You can get mountains in New York even. But
None in Michigan.
not in Michigan, no. But or Virginia or North Carolina. But Alaska is as beautiful as a state it is a hurting state. And there are hurting people here, and so that is why we moved here, because we felt like we could be of some use.
Well, I've been kind of observing you and seeing how you've been handling the youth and
Yeah.
the program that you're part of, and
Right.
I think, as hard as it is, I know it's stressful. I know it's
Yeah.
difficult. You have these displaced teenagers that are either pulled from their homes or voluntarily, removed from their homes, whatever. And all of a sudden, they're in this little bubble of the home that you and Jack and your family are, and that brings some stress. But I want to tell
Definitely.
you, I think you're doing exactly what God wants you to do, at least right now. And you're doing a phenomenal job at it, and I use
Thanks,
that
man.
word appropriately.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I've
Yeah.
seen real change and considering of change from teenagers, the kids that you're ministering to. And tell you what, I mean, teens don't trust adults a lot.
No.
They don't let you in. There's that great book, I think you've read it, Chap Clark's Hurt.
Yeah.
It's Inside the
Yep.
World of Teenagers.
Yeah.
It's called Hurt. And he basically talks about this underground kind of community that teenagers have. And for an adult to get in there and for them to allow an adult to come into their world, so to speak, they really got to trust you. They have to allow you in. And I really have seen that with you and Jackie's ministry there with those teens. And so
Thanks, man.
That's just awesome. So good for you.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, it definitely has its challenges. Like, here's a fun little story. So my wife and I are actually on maternity fraternity leave right now. So we have about 3 weeks to kind of unwind and rest with the new baby and get her on that routine. The day before we left, I was in the office talking with a teenager. He made some poor choices, and so we were going over that. And I'll say the conversation ended with him taking what do they make bowls out of? Like cereal bowls. They make them out of
What do you mean, ceramic?
ceramic, yeah, like a ceramic bowl. And he picked up the bowl and just smashed it up against the ground, against my right by my feet or whatever. And that's just one of the crazy stories. And we've had kids, act out physically and become violent and do stupid stuff and make poor decisions. But what makes it worth it for us is that we've also seen kids who make wise choices, and we've seen kids, go through that thinking process where it ends in their health, where it ends in them being able to live healthy, sustainable, good lives. And right now, we're actually seeing a kid who is feeling some prompting and feeling some pull by the Holy Spirit to make a decision for Jesus, and that is extremely exciting for us, because this agency that we work for isn't overtly, it's not an overtly Christian organization or anything.
It's interfaith,
like that.
correct?
Yeah, it's interfaith. Yeah, so for him to see him make that kind of decision in the environment that he's in,
Right.
is extremely encouraging.
Right on. Good for you. Awesome.
So Rodney, tell me, man, just to kind of throw the same question back on you. I mean, you're a very marketable guy. You walk through all of your degrees and diplomas, and why a church in Podunk, middle of Fairbanks, Alaska?
Right on.
It's okay if you want to say you don't make wise decisions.
Yeah, I don't make wise decisions in my life. No. Basically what it is my wife and I, we decided when I was done with my master's degree, or when I was wrapping up my master's degree, that we were going to settle down somewhere and we were going to finish raising our kids. We bounced around for years, had multiple houses, apartments, that sort of thing, while I've been in school, and she's been in school as well. And so we decided, even before Alaska came on the radar, that we were going to settle down wherever that led us. We thought it was going to be North Carolina. We had something kind of lined up, and we thought, okay, well, North Carolina is going to be it. We're going to finish raising our kids here in North Carolina, and then after that, we'll see. Well, that didn't pan out, and so similar to you, there was some prodding, there was some uncomfortabilities that came into our lives, and I actually had been running from the pastorate for a long time. That's why I went into counseling. I love people, and I want to help people, but I've been a youth pastor, I've been an associate pastor at a few different churches, and I've seen the dark side, so to speak, of those churches. What I mean by that is I've been in the elder meetings, I've been in the leadership meetings and stuff, and I was aware of the sin and the fights and the problems that a normal person that just comes to church would never have any idea
they're
about.
No fun. They are no fun.
Yeah, they're no fun, So I saw that, and I thought, I remember one specific elder meeting, I forget what they were arguing about, but it was a waste of time. It was a waste of energy. It was something dumb, like, carpet color or something stupid like that. I can't remember. Maybe it was the parking lot. Yeah. And I just remember we discussed and kind of bantered back and forth for over an hour about this subject, about this topic. And I remember going back to my office, which was next to the senior pastor's office, depleted and kind of destroyed, and being like, I'm done. I don't.
Right.
What's
the point of this?
Right. I basically decided I'll be a good Christian man. I'll raise my kids right. I'll be a good husband. But as far as the church goes, I'm done. That's basically where I was.
Wow.
And the Lord had other plans. I was saying I'm done, and God's like, no, you're not done. And He actually led me to Ephesians 5, where you see Christ. It says that husbands love their wives as Christ loved the church and gave Himself up for it. So basically, I was kind of cornered. I was like, okay, if Jesus loves the church, loves people so much that He would give Himself up or die for them, who am I to say that I shouldn't give something to it too, or give something for it? So that kind of put me back on the track of just being in full-time ministry, I suppose. So I decided I wanted to help people, but I didn't want to be in the trenches. I still didn't want to be a pastor. So I thought, I'll be a Christian counselor. That's what I'll do.
I remember when you and I, we used to work security together, and I asked you specifically, Rodney, what is your goal for getting a counseling degree? And I remember you said anything but pastoring.
Right. Well, here's the cool thing about being a counselor. You get in the trenches with people, but it's for a limited time.
Right. Yeah.
They come in for 50 minutes, you counsel with them, and then you don't see them for a week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To where a pastor, it's different. You're in the trenches with people, and you stay in the trenches with people. It depends on how involved and I don't want to say how good of a pastor, but how much shepherding you want to do.
Yeah, I'll say how good of a pastor.
Right. So, I mean, because I know some pastors that they preach on Sunday and they attend the Wednesday night prayer meeting.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Maybe they don't even attend the Wednesday night prayer meeting.
Maybe not, Hey, but who, I'm not someone to judge their ministry. I'm just saying that's not what I do.
Right.
So I get in the trenches with people. Now, I still keep my boundaries. I don't take non-emergency calls at midnight.
Right.
Yeah. When I'm with my family or whatever's going on. So I do retain my boundaries, but I still get into the trenches with people. So anyway, long story short, I still love counseling, and I do a lot of counseling, and that's what my main Bible and counseling are what my main 2 degrees are in. My education's in. But basically, I was talking with a man that I really respect about life direction. This is before we moved to Alaska, and I was telling him, I don't know what to do with my life. I'm like 30 years old. Oh, what am I going to do when I grow up? And he said, well, put the career thing aside. What do you just simply enjoy? What do you like to do? What are you passionate about? And I said, I can tell you that. I love evangelism. I love teaching. I love preaching. I love counseling. And I love discipleship. Those 5 things. And he says, Rodney, you know what that is, right? What? And I knew. He said, that's a pastor. I know. I don't want to be a pastor, though. And so we talked about that. I talked through those things, and it basically was just a step of faith. So basically what I did is I stopped only looking for counseling and teaching positions, because that's what I was doing, just like teaching positions, counseling positions, that sort of thing. And then I expanded my search into pastoring. I put my resume out there over 100 churches, over 100 parachurch organizations, colleges, whatever. And I got some feedback. I even got some offers and things. But there was one in particular that really stuck out to me. Oh, the other thing that me and my wife said, we said we're going to settle down, right, after my master's degree. Right. But I also said no more part-time positions, because for 10 years I did what do you call it? Not co-working.
Not interim. Bivocational.
Thank you, bivocational.
Yeah.
For 10 years I did bivocational ministry, where I was part-time at some church and part-time at another job. Like I worked at a furniture store, for example. And you mentioned security. Did security, just whatever, just to make ends meet.
Right. Pest control.
Pest control, right on, bring it. So, but I told, me and my wife said no more part-time bivocational, full-time only. So
that worked out.
Right, exactly. So I ran across this, I guess, this job ad online, and I had filtered out all the part-time positions, so only the full-time ones were showing up, right? Well, one snuck through, because this church had selected part-time and full-time as the same position, so it snuck through onto both, right? And instead of the title being just pastor or senior pastor or whatever, the whole title was part-time senior pastor to become full-time. That was the title.
That's what they all say.
That's what, right. So it stood out to me, and I clicked on it, which was my first mistake.
Yep, absolutely.
It turned out to be in Alaska, a hurting church, looking for a pastor. They could only pay a small part-time salary, that sort of thing.
Do you feel comfortable sharing that salary?
Oh, the actual number?
Yeah.
Well, it really wouldn't matter for Alaska, because a part-time salary in Alaska is totally different than a part-time salary in North Carolina.
That's what I mean.
Or whatever. So they were looking for just a part-time guy with a very part-time salary. No benefits, nothing like that. No housing. Nothing.
I'll say this. It was it was nothing.
Right, it's not,
It was-
right. It basically was a housing allowance. That's
Yeah.
basic. Now, I don't mean all the bills. I just mean
Right.
like your rent.
Yeah.
That's basically what it was. So anyway, so because of that and what my wife and I had talked about, I did not apply. I just saw it and I thought, that's not what me and God decided, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't the deal, right? Now I'm not a super spiritual guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't look for signs in the sky. I don't look for my burnt toast to tell me where to go or what to do, that sort of thing. I'll just tell you what happened. So I did not apply for that position. And I'm a heavy sleeper. When I go to sleep, I don't wake up. I just sleep. Well, I couldn't sleep. And I would literally wake up and the name Shannon Park Baptist would just come to my mind. Almost like it woke me up. It was kind of bizarre. And I was getting annoyed with it because it was messing with my sleep, right? And I still had to go kill bugs. I was still in pest control. I had to get up at 7 o'clock or whatever. And so I thought, this happened like 3 nights in a row. And I said, all right, Lord, are you trying to tell me something? Is this just me being romantic about Alaska? I mean,
Yeah.
what's the deal? Well, I ruled that out because I had applied for other positions in Alaska, and I wasn't waking up to them. So I said to the Lord, all right, fine. I'll apply for it, and they can say no, and I've done my duty, and I can move on. Well, I applied. Less than 24 hours later, they contacted me, wanting to know more about me, blah, blah, blah. I interviewed, and so I just kept going down that road until God stopped me, and he never stopped me. And long story short, we decided it wasn't God's will for us to move to Alaska. We moved to Alaska, and it's been about 2 years. The church, the struggling church that we came to, we're still at. When I first preached, there was 17 people in the pews when I was candidating. 17 people.
And I'll say this as a external view. Now they are easily averaging 100 people every week.
Yeah, about 100.
Which is awesome. I mean, that's so, Rodney. You got to understand, that's awesome. That is so cool to see, especially for me. I'm just a little younger than you, and you know, I'm still working in college type stuff, and so to see someone step into a church and see it do well, to see God bless it in the way that He's blessed your ministry and what's going on here at Shannon Park, is to know that God He is actively moving in the lives of his people and in the life of a local church.
It's exciting. It really is to see God move, and I just feel humbled to be part of it. I'm just kind of along for the ride. We've made some good changes at the church, and we've kept some things. We didn't change some things that were good. We have strengthened the current ministries. People have asked, what are we good at? I've had people, like new people, ask, what is Shannon Park good at? And I never quite answer that question. I rephrase it. I'll say, well, a better way to say it is, what are we getting better at?
Yeah.
That's a much better way to say it. I'll tell you one thing recently. One thing we're getting so much better at, and this is kind of something that I see in churches I've been involved with, and maybe it's kind of in the Baptist realm. I don't think it's just the Baptist realm, but it seems like churches are really good at fellowship with each other.
Yeah.
We get comfortable, right?
Absolutely.
Potlucks and breakfasts. We like each other, and it becomes a family, and then we get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
What we're getting better at here at Shannon Park is reaching out and loving on people we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal. We have the food bank ministry, the food box ministry. We distribute food to needy families on Fridays. We're involved in a homeless shelter ministry where people actually come that are in a program. They actually come to our church and they stay at our church for a week, and we partner with other churches to do that.
Not to mention, you're pursuing people who aren't even members, who aren't even involved in the church. You'll drive 30 minutes away to visit, someone in a dry cabin just to pray with them and see how they're doing.
Sure, it's just loving on people,
yeah,
and the reason we do that is we feel that it's what Jesus would do.
Absolutely,
yeah. And if we can imitate and emulate what Jesus would do and who he was and his attitude and his even being uncomfortable at times, then we can fulfill the Great Commission. We can fulfill the purpose of the church more effectively.
Absolutely. So this is it. This is episode 1, and we are just so thankful that you guys have tuned in and listened to and downloaded or subscribed to this this first episode here. And we want to encourage you guys, come along with us. Come along with this awesome new adventure that Rodney and I and Jackie and our wives, Jackie and Deanna, and our kids are all taking together. And we just want to encourage you guys, please feel free to ask us questions. We're going to be talking a lot about Alaska, and we're also going to be talking a lot about what it means to be a believer and the journey and the adventure that that is in and of itself. And so we thank you guys so much for listening to this. We encourage you guys, please subscribe to it and continue to listen, continue to think, continue to ask questions of us. Roddy, do you have anything you want to say, man?
So you can go to our website, which is aliveinaalaska.com. All these podcasts are going to be uploaded on that website. There's also a message button there. You can contact us through that website. If you have any questions, you have any comments, any subjects that you're interested in, either about Alaska, about Christianity, about the Bible, anything at all as far as that stuff goes, you can message us through our website, aliveinaalaska.com. We're also going to upload these podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, probably YouTube. We're just going to kind of put it around Facebook. We'll share it all over that.
And we really want to, if you do it through iTunes or SoundCloud, please subscribe. And that really helps us out a lot because it gets, the more people that we have listening to this, I think the better. And then if you want to leave a review for this, please do that as well. Right below it, leave a review, give us a 5-star rating. And tell your friends about it. We want to see this spread all over and give people a true, legitimate view of what Alaska is like. Not these crazy shows on Discovery Channel or National Geographic or whatever it is. These are two real guys living in Alaska.
Right on. So like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time on Alive in Alaska.
What we need to have, to hold, to have, to hold, to need, and to grow.